In today's episode, Lior Vaknin is going to show us how to pivot from a hustle-heavy agency model to high-ticket coaching. So stick around. If you want to build a legitimate, profitable online business without shiny objects, without the hypey gimmicks, and without the stress and overwhelm, if you want to make more money without having to be present online all day, every day, pumping out content that nobody sees and hustling DMs to generate leads and sales, then this is the place for you. Welcome to the Digital Trailblazer podcast, your online business university, where you'll learn how ordinary people start from ground zero with no influence, no email list or audience to sell to, and no business or marketing experience, and go from working 9-to-5 jobs to building successful 6- and 7-figure online businesses and all the steps in between. Learn the strategies that worked and what didn't. Learn the mistakes that they made and how to avoid them, and then learn their plans for scaling their businesses and taking things to the next level. All so that you can build your business faster and easier and make more money without sacrificing the things that are important to you in your life. I'm your host, Lior Vaknin, and with me is my husband, Todd. Now, let's get to it with today's guest. Welcome, Lior. We're super excited to have you with us today. We're going to get all into this whole pivot space. I think there's a lot of people who are busy doing freelance work or agency work, and they want to get their hands out of the work piece, more into the coaching side of things, create a little bit more leverage. So we're very excited for this conversation, but give us a little context, let the audience know a little bit about yourself before we dive into all that.
Sure. So first of all, Leah and Todd, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. So my name is Lior Vaknin, 37 years old, originally from Israel, lived in the States for many years, been in the online space basically since 2010 when I started my first SEO agency back home in Israel. And this is kind of a skill that I'm very fortunate to have found out and embrace early on in my career, because with it, I was able to run multiple ventures and multiple companies. And, from a beverage company that I opened up with some friends back home in Israel to later on when I got to New York, I created basically a community that connected Israeli and American tech startups. And it's all it all grew thanks to the skill of online marketing and lead generation. So that's in a nutshell. But of course, there is more. I had a whole midlife crisis at the age of 30, I like to call it, where I, left everything, went on a 50-state journey with an RV, but we can talk about that later on if you want.
That's awesome. I love all of that. So I think I've run in, just personally myself, a ton of people who are doing freelance work or they have an agency and they aspire, they kind of dream of moving to a coaching model because they want to create more time freedom. They're working themselves to their bone, or they've got this massive team that they're managing that they really don't enjoy that part of the business. I'm curious, how did this pivot start for you? Like, where did this come from? Were you looking for more time freedom? Did it just kind of happen naturally? Like, what happened here?
Yeah, so I think it's a combination of a few things. So first of all, it was really about me having a goal of reaching 100K. Like, that was just the goal. I want to reach 100K a month. Like, that was for me an aspiration and a goal. And so I started looking online, found a few coaches. Each one kind of, went into a different direction. One of them was more into how to grow an agency, which was what I was doing. I was running a marketing agency that was focused on Google ads, SEO, Facebook ads, and so on. But I didn't really enjoy the fulfillment part and just being on a call constantly with the client, and I didn't like it. And I also didn't like the idea of me hiring some either subcontractors or some other marketers underneath me to manage it. It kind of felt not aligned with who I am and what I wanted to do. And there was another coach who was sharing how to take your skill and turn it into an online coaching career, online coaching business. So I initially started by basically creating just a course. I think that this is maybe the route a lot of people are thinking about, just like a Google Ads course that was very focused on the market that I'm serving, which is the home services and contractors. It went kind of okay, but with, tickets, it was, I think, around $290 $297 or like $499. Like I played it with the prices, but having people just going directly to a funnel, and we talked about it briefly before we started recording, unless you have a massive following, it's very hard, without having this social proof and credibility, to have people just automatically pull out their credit cards and just, like spend, even if it's not, thousands of dollars, it is substantial money for a lot of people. And just the financial model wasn't working, at least for me and the kind of reach that I had. And so then the high ticket, I went into a coaching program, learned the skills of high ticket, how to do everything from scratch, the script, everything. And that's what I've been doing for the past 2.5 years.
That's awesome. That idea of creating an online course and, having it fairly low ticket, right? $297, $497, somewhere around that range. I think that's where a lot of people feel like they can get started, and they have this idea that, I'll just create this course and I'll make this money, and whenever I make sales, it'll, it's all profit. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that you have to generate traffic somehow. And if you don't have this massive online audience, either through YouTube or TikTok or somewhere, right? If you don't have this audience, then you've got to generate that through paid ads or something. So I'm curious, how did you generate traffic for that offer? Was it through an email list or through SEO or something, or were you running paid ads?
Yeah, so for me, it was a no-brainer, straight into paid ads. I wasn't even planning on spending a lot of time on other sources, just because I know how to do this and you can see results immediately. So if we're talking about SEO and, these are processes that could take months and even years if you want to get into, again, I mentioned earlier that the goal was to get to 100K a month. It's like you have to be ranking on thousands, if not tens of thousands of keywords at the top results. We're talking about massive website and operation, and it just like it would have taken forever. Whereas with paid ads, all you have to do is basically make sure that, first of all, there's a need. There's people who are interested in what you're doing, what you're providing. And once you have a product market fit, then you run ads. Now, again, if we were running, I don't know, during the Ty Lopez early days of online coaching and courses, if we're running it and the CPM on Facebook ads was still very low, you could still, turn $1 into 5, 10, maybe even more. But for me, it wasn't the case. And it almost you almost break even. And then people don't even think about, all right, what about cancellations? What about refunds? What about other things, operational expenses that you have? You want to have at first maybe a VA. You want to have a software to support it. So we're talking about almost operating at a loss, and it doesn't make financial sense, at least for me.
Yeah. And I think for me and Leah, our experience was very similar with selling that level of online courses, paid ads, is that at the beginning, we didn't even realize at the time, but we had some ads that were performing really well that other people just, when we showed them our numbers, they couldn't believe it. And the thing is that doesn't last. I know that for our very first online course, we sold it for $297, and that was all that we had, and that was all we were selling. And I think our lead cost was between $2 and $3 per lead, and we were profiting probably 2 to 5 times return on ad spend for probably the first 3 to 6 months. But then it goes up from there. As more and more people see your ad, the marketing becomes less and less effective, right? And so we just kept seeing our ad costs go up and up and up, and the conversion rates going down and down and down, because Facebook is now serving your ads to people who are less and less qualified, right? Because Facebook is trying to find new people to serve it to. And it's just this whole thing, as we saw our profitability go down, it's like we're panicking and we're trying to figure out, well, what do we do next? Because eventually we got to the point where, some days we're making money, some days we're losing money. And it's like, it's for someone who's brand new, especially, and this is your first course and you think that you made it rich, and now suddenly things are not going so well. you panic, right? And so long story short, we did get to a point where we were doing multiple six figures a month with course sales. But just like you said, we ran into those other problems of, well, now there's all this problem with fulfillment. Now there's all these problems with people emailing you with just stupid things like, I didn't get my email, I can't log in, and they're typing in their password wrong. And it's just dozens of these emails per day. And now suddenly your laptop lifestyle sitting on the beach, generating, residual income or whatever, passive income, suddenly that dream has disappeared. And now you're sitting in front of your computer doing just generic customer service work and you're hating it. Right. And so I think we ran into probably the exact same thing that you ran into with that online course. What was your journey like from there? What did you pivot to next? Was it directly into coaching, or were there some other things that you tried in the middle?
Again, the lifestyle thing was very important to me. Right now I'm living in Portugal, spend time with my kids, surfing, so enjoying the lifestyle. And so I knew for a fact that coaching, first of all, and then this is why I said earlier that it's a combination of multiple things, because I have like a natural tendency to go into helping and teaching, and it's like it's coming from within, so it's very natural to me, where other people are shy from the camera, or like they're not, they might have all the knowledge inside, but they aren't able to communicate it in a way that's very helpful for others. For me, I knew for a fact that this is something that I wanted to do, that I love doing. So I went straight into it. And of course, you're frightening at the beginning, like who would pay this amount? So the offer is like, mid four figures. So it's like $5,000 to $7,500. So will anyone buy it? Like, will people take it? And especially in the beginning, I was told by my coach, is like, don't offer one-on-ones, because that's not scalable, which is something that, you want to help people get results as quickly as possible, but you also want to make sure that the business is sustainable. And this is something that you can actually scale and grow. That has been the journey. And I remember I think it was like the first month that I made like $30,000, which was more like with the agency, I was making like, let's say 10, 15, like somewhere around this range. And the first month that I made like $30,000, I was, talking on a group with some other coaches. And I was like, will this last? Like you're like, was this a fluke, or like what's going on? And you're like, what's going to happen? So it's been quite a wild ride, but I went straight into coaching.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's funny, because when I think about us and making that transition to high ticket coaching, for us, it was because we had hired a coach that we had initially hired to help us sell another online course that we were in the process of developing. And I remember, one of our very first meetings, and, when we told him, okay, here's what we got planned, here's our price point and all that. And he listened to what we were saying. He's like, so you're only going to charge $497 for this? I'm like, yeah. It's like, why aren't you charging like $10,000? Like, I don't know. How do we get people to pay $10,000? Like, to us, it just completely blew our mind that someone could pay that much for it if we just change it from an online course to a coaching program. And eventually that's what we did, is that we kind of went down this path of high ticket coaching. But just like you, we had that thing in the back of our minds that was like, who is ever going to pay money for who's ever going to pay that amount? And we didn't start out charging $10,000. We started out, I think, well, actually, we did like a beta. It was like $500, and they got the full coaching program and everything, and they got lifetime access. So we got our first people in with a very low cost. But then after that, I think we went to like $3,000. And to us, no one had ever paid us that amount of money for anything. And it was so funny that people were willing to pay that for us. And just like you were like, is this going to last? Like, are people going to figure this out? Like, I hope they don't request a refund or do something like that. And, there's all these doubts. So for you, like, how did you manage that? Like, when you got to that point where people were paying you this amount of money, like, first of all, how did you decide how much to charge, and how did you kind of settle on that price? And then did you test different price points? Like tell us that part of the journey.
With the help of the coach, we kind of figured, and this is also how much I paid for my initial coaching program. So this was the base. Basically, the cost is a little bit higher, and then you're giving some sort of an incentive for people to join on the call. So then it's just like $5K flat. I played around with so many things, both with the access. Okay, you're talking about lifetime access. I've never, like, maybe on the course I played with it, but I never wanted to do lifetime access because this is it just beyond me. This is something that, who knows, just the cost to maintain the servers might be so expensive that I'm like operating at a loss. But played with different price range, from 5 to 8 to 10. But with my avatar, my clients, which is usually business owners who are making, I would say, $250 to $2 million in revenue. And again, like, people hear revenue, they don't understand that it's not net profit, right? But it's like, in revenue, this is kind of the sweet spot. But so the price range is set, but what has been changed, and this is something that I'm constantly testing, and now I'm very comfortable with it, is that at the beginning it was like for 6 months duration being part of the program, and then it went up into like a 1 year, and now after seeing, and after like now it's like the 30 iteration, so it's like version 3 of the program, and I was able to shrink so many of the modules to just make sure that people are like able to, for example, learn Google Ads from A to Z, even if you've never opened up a computer, in like 3.5 hours. Okay, so people can see results very, very quickly, and so now it's a 4 months program, and after that, then you have like an option to stay in the program for a very minimum, like $99 a month kind of fee. And so that is something that I'm working on and building some more of the recurring revenue side of things, rather than just on the front end, on the course, on the program, on the initial cost of the program.
Awesome. Yeah, that's interesting. So I know that we played with a lot of things like that too. Like you said, the lifetime access, we only did that for like the first group of people that came in. And then I think we toyed around with like 6 months access, and now we're at like 9 months. And for us, we were really trying to gauge like, how long does it take people to really go through this, implement the plan, get the result, and what's reasonable. And what we found was that, during, you could, logistically do it in, 3 months, sometimes even less. But people, have things going on in their lives. And so there's always like, oh, well, now it's summertime, we're going on a vacation. Oh, this family emergency happened. There's always something. And so that's why we kind of toyed around with different durations, even though most people didn't need it. That was what we found to be like most reasonable, where they felt like they were getting all the access they needed and they weren't wasting time, right, in the program. And just like you, it's like what you want to do. I think a lot of people think that the more stuff you cram into your offer, and the more training and the more things you just pile on, the more valuable it becomes. But if I'm understanding you right, what you found was that cutting out the fluff and cutting out the extra stuff they don't need, and just really zeroing in on what they need to get the fastest result, is really what adds the value, and allows you to become, number one, much more efficient in your business, but also allows you to bring on clients, get them a fast result, and still charge a high ticket price. Is that right?
Absolutely. And there are still things that I know I can improve on the back end for people to see even quicker results. So, I know that Alex Hormozi talks about it, and it's very true. Like, why people, instead of going to like a weight loss program, rather pay for, just like a surgeon to go and just like suck all the fat out. And this could be much pricier option, but you can see immediate results. And so this is like really the prism, and this is the way I view it, is like, how can I get people the quickest results possible? Of course, you're always trying to stay up to date, and you're updating, and especially in our industry, there's always new things. And just today, ChatGPT came out with their ChatGPT search. Okay, so it's like, of course, you need to be on top of everything, and it's not an evergreen solution on the technical side of it, but way more important than that is how do I help business owners, or how do I help my client achieve results the quickest? That's at least the philosophy that I'm trying to follow.
Gotcha. So now, as far as your coaching program, tell us a little bit about your customer acquisition process. Like, how do you generate traffic? How do you generate leads? How do you get them to book a call? Like, what does that system look like for you?
Yeah. So as I'm guessing you guys as well, and a lot of people, I've toyed around and played with so many different models, which there is no one straight answer, as at least as far as I can see it. For this industry, it works this way. For that industry, it's a very individual situation. But for me personally, and again, when I'm saying for me, people need to think, like your viewers. That includes the fact that I'm not a native English speaker. Okay, I don't live in the U.S. anymore. I have Middle Eastern look. There's a lot of things that are like we might not even think about, but those are subconscious micro decisions and micro things that people are judging and are thinking, all right, I look like him, I'm going to work with him, I trust him more, whatever it is. So for me personally, after trying for example, the Instagram, follow, and then from there, like with appointment setter to book a call, that didn't work. With VSL, that they need to first sign up, leave their details, that didn't work. What I found to be working for me is directly into to our homepage, where you can see a quick video talking about the pain point. Right underneath it, there's a way for you to fill out the form and directly book a call right there and then. And so this is what's working for me. Of course, after that, there's some nurturing that's happening, making sure that you're seeing the breakdown of what this sales call is about. Who are we targeting? I've created recently a video FAQ at the bottom of it. So it's a lot of the repeated questions are answered even before people are hopping on a call. And then even after they're confirming the call, via text or whatnot, I have my sales manager who also does some appointment setting tasks, making sure, that all decision makers are there, that he understands that we're a coaching program. Because even if you have this in, big red bold letters, some people, I thought it's a marketing agency. No, so you wanna do some double verification and cross-referencing and making sure that you're on the same page, and then it's hopping on a call, understanding their need, and ideally close them.
So what you're saying is that you've got a video on your homepage of your website that people watch with no opt-in, and then below that video is a no?
Yep. Yeah. No.
Okay.
I'm
okay.
agreeing with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So there's no opt-in. There's a video on your homepage, and then below that video is it a button or is it an actual form that they fill out right there?
Form.
Okay.
Just a straight form. No nothing. Fill this information. Who are you? What's your business? How much are you spending on marketing right now per month? What's your business revenue? To give us a sense of who you are, and then you can pick a slot. And of course, if it's not relevant, we'll cancel it. We'll notify you. But yeah, that's basically the funnel.
Interesting, great. And then, so how are you getting traffic to that website? Is it just organic traffic from somewhere, or are you running paid ads?
Paid ads still is the majority of the traffic source that we're seeing. But a few months ago, I got to a point, and people think I said that my goal was to reach 100K. We surpassed that. We reached 120K a month. But I felt like I'm solely relying on Facebook ads at that point. And I was frightened that something breaks, and also the acquisition cost. You hear a lot of times people say, oh, it's the, 5x ROAS, 10x ROAS, like all these crazy numbers. But I'm here like as a living evidence that no, for my personal case, some months it would be 3, some months it would be 2, sometimes it would be like after all expenses and everything, it could be even less than that. And so like you're spending so much money on ads and you're like, what's going on? Am I solely relying on that? So after I reached that, I decided to scale down, and rebuild some of the organic stuff. So rebuild the YouTube channel and start tracking where are my leads coming from. So one of the best hires I think that I've made, and this is not a hire that maybe you would make, when you're making your first dollar, but once you get like to, I would say like 30 to 50K a month, I hired an ops guy who's like a master in automation and, tracking and everything, and bringing him on and making sure that we know, the whole funnel, the whole journey. He helps me automate and track everything. For me, it's amazing. So now, again, the majority would be from Facebook, but we are seeing, of course, referrals. We are seeing, and by the way, even referrals are coming through Facebook. So you'll see that they saw an ad, but they're coming through referral, or a lot, like we're getting, I would say like 20% from YouTube. And then like we have like another, let's say 10 to 15% from SEO and some other marketing. But I'm always testing out. Now we're testing out some cold emails. So I never want to solely depend on paid ads, especially not on Facebook ads.
Yeah. We had a very similar experience. And the thing is, like, when you say that, oh yeah, I made $120,000 for my business with Facebook ads, people are like, oh, boo-hoo. Like, for you, now you got to find another traffic source. But it's a real fear. Like, I remember, because when we hit our first 6-figure month, we had a coach that, and his big thing was Facebook ads too. And I remember distinctly asking him, well, aren't you afraid that like Facebook may shut down your ad account at some point, or something may change and maybe Facebook ads are not a thing anymore? Because at that time there was no TikTok. Nobody was doing Instagram ads. It was like Facebook ads or maybe Google ads, and that was it. And so there really weren't any other options. And so, that was a fear for us as well. And at that time he was like, no, I'm not too worried about it. And I'm like, well, we are. Like, what? Where else can we go? And so that's one of the purposes of our podcast right now, is that's an organic traffic source that we can layer on that adds that extra layer of security. That's why we build an email list. That's why we do all these other things. But thankfully, we do have things like TikTok ads. We do have things that are also working that are outside of Facebook ads. So I think right now is a great time to kind of be in the space, because you've got so many different traffic options that you can do, just paid and even organically. So I think another really important point that you brought up was, after somebody books a call, all the work that you do on the back end to qualify that person, to make sure that they're going to show up and everything. Because I know for us in our business, like, that was a huge game changer. So many people in the coaching space, and even in the agency space, anybody who's booking calls to get clients, they suffer from these incredibly high no-show rates, right? Like, people book a call and then they just don't show up. And maybe all they've got is an email follow-up series, and they just expect people to show up because they got an email reminder or maybe a text message reminder. But the thing is that there's so much more that goes, I know for us, there's so much more that goes into it to, like you said, to qualify as a lead and make sure they're going to show up. Can you go into more detail about what you do on that back end? And did you always have that back end process into place after somebody booked a call, or did you have something else in place earlier where you did have such a high show rate? And what were the changes that you made, and what was the difference that you saw in your show rates when you implemented that?
Yeah. So just before I answer this, I just want to mention something, because you talked about, TikTok ads and stuff like that. We are running some other ads on other platforms, but as of, what are we, in November 2024? For me personally, there is no better targeting than Facebook ads. Hands down, best, especially again, if you're like a drop shipping business and, like your whole focus is on, Gen Z or whatnot. Yeah, maybe other traffic sources are great. For me, Facebook ads is hands down the best thing ever. But once they, go through my website, then what we're doing is that we're running retargeting ads on YouTube, and we're running retargeting ads on TikTok and all these different resources. So then you can see, in the tracking that they came from Facebook or from TikTok or from YouTube or whatever it is. But still, like, Facebook still dominates, especially for, the home service space. I think it dominates the industry by a long shot, really. Now, as for the processes, no, man, like, again, like we started from nothing. It's constant iteration. It's constantly learning. It's constantly testing. This works. This doesn't work. Let me do these changes. All right, now I'm getting worse show rate. Now I'm getting this. Now I'm getting that. It's an ongoing process. I'm no way close to where I want to get. But today, for example, I had a call with a young entrepreneur. So he's just starting a construction business up in Washington State. And he used to work for a very successful, very leading figure in a similar, like in the coaching space. It's more for personal development, stuff like that. Multi-seven-figure business, very, very big. And he flattered me and he told me, wow, like, listen, what you're doing and the whole nurturing side of thing, this is amazing. And even though he wasn't able to join, it was just too early in his journey, and he'll probably reach out like in a few months after he sets up and get everything set up. It was still very nice to hear that people are, that they appreciate it and that it helps them, prepares them better for the actual call. Again, but I think that there is a lot more to do on that part. Then, of course, I can share a little bit of the things that I'm doing, but yeah, that's in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to get into the details there, if you get some examples of what that looks like.
Sure. So considering the fact that I don't have a huge amount of followers, and I'm not like a famous face in every service business in the US and Canada, people need to build confidence. And again, especially when you're asking them to spend multi-four figures with this guy on the internet, they need to know that they can trust me. So from the homepage underneath the actual booking, there's a bunch of client interviews and testimonials of businesses that have seen what, going through the program, how it helped them, share their journey, share. And those are, I'm a no BS kind of guy. So I'm not just, looking to interview people and just saying that it's the most amazing program in the world. I'm asking them straight up, hey, who wouldn't you recommend this program to? Like, what were some of the challenges? So people can see that these are honest reviews and honest testimonials. And these testimonials, they're not just on the homepage, they're every place that you look. So whether it's on the thank you page later on, whether it's, like we're sending on the follow-up email, make sure that you watch some interviews and so on. So that's one thing. Second thing is, of course, running retargeting ads, which, again, it makes life much easier. I have people who reach out to me after 2 years that they've been, following me. And those are usually very easy sales. Okay. They haven't reached out because whatever, they work with a different business partner. They were just, thinking about that. They gave another marketing agency a shot, whatever the reason may be. Now is the time. And those are really, really, really important to have the retargeting. And again, I mentioned this before, that the retargeting is all over the place, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, like wherever they're looking, they're going to see my face. So they're going to see me in their dreams, basically. Then the FAQ, for example, this is something new that I recently added. And again, everything is video, like nobody's going to read out, any long, even if it's a short response. People want to see what you're talking. And a lot of times, even on my ads, when people are asking, is it relevant for my industry, like my unique situation? Hey, watch this YouTube video, okay? And every touch point is like people, you might not think about this way, but every touch point that they have with you and your brand, it builds that confidence. So they watch this video and maybe they'll go and watch another video. And of course, I'm sharing a lot of free information and a lot of highlights on my Instagram and on YouTube. And I'm encouraging people to go and do their due diligence before they hop on the call. One more thing that I think is very important, and you can see the difference, is having a buffer time of, for me, it's like 24 hours. So we test it out where people can book, like let's say 4 hours in advance or whatever it is. But then you see people who don't know you, don't know anything about you. I need to think about it kind of answers. Like, you want to have your content do a lot of the heavy lifting for you and a lot of the nurturing and the confidence and trust building aspect of the sale for you, because I don't expect my sales rep to, handle any objections at the end of the day. As far as I can see it, the sales rep, the sales manager role is just helping people cross that bridge. If there's objection, they should have been handled on the content side. And so this is on me. This is not on him. His job is just helping people, answering any question, showing them what it's really like, confirming to them that they're the right fit, because a lot of times we're canceling, like I would say like 50% of the time, we're canceling on our behalf because we don't think that we're the right match for them. So if they do, then just helping them get set up, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I think what you said there about that buffer time is super important, because at one point we had tested that out, and I think we found pretty much the exact same thing, is that we make them wait at least 24 hours, and then I think we have a limit of about 4 or 5 days in advance. And that seems to be kind of like the sweet spot that we let people book. If they want to book further in advance, we just don't let them do it because the no-show rate is too high. If they book too soon, then it's like they don't have enough time to really inform themselves about us and our business, and they come to the call with too many questions, and then it's always, and I need to think about it, right? I'm not sure. I need to think about it. I need to look at some other things. I need to do my research. There's always those objections when it's too soon. So I think that sweet spot is really important. And then having, like for us, we call it, their homework. And it doesn't have to be a lot of stuff, but it's, for us, it's just a 30-minute video that we make them watch. It tells them about us, our process, what we do, how we help people, shows them some testimonials, and then takes them through a tour of our program. So that when they show up to the call, they're like fully informed. They're either sold at that point or they cancel the appointment because they figure out that it's not for them. Either way, it's fine, because we're not wasting our time. We're only spending our time with people who are ready to buy and join. And we're just, like you said, we're just helping them cross the line. And that part of the process, I know it took, number one, it took our show rate, and it just, almost, I think it at least doubled our show rate. But as far as our close rate, like it just put our close rate through the roof too. And it made it so much easier, because now we could bring on closers that didn't have to be so skilled, right? It was because it was an easier sell for them. They didn't have to be top of the best closers in the world in order to make the sale. So it was an easier job for them as well. And so just operationally, it made things so much easier to have that part of the process and implement that and have people show up to the call informed.
Yeah, I agree. For me now, really the biggest challenge is finding and hiring a good sales rep. And I made like a conscious decision that I'm planning on bringing another closer, but then like these two, like unless we're making $250K a month, I'm not bringing any more people, because A, I want them to make, good money as closers, but B, it's very, very hard. And this is a challenge that I'm currently facing. It's very hard to have someone who's both good in sales and has the knowledge or background in marketing, because for me, like a lot of the business owners that I'm working with, even if they're not marketers, because they went through so many bad experiences with marketing agencies, they can be more knowledgeable than you about whatever, Google Ads, Facebook, like, because as soon as that happened, that's it, you lost the sale. It's a challenge. And I think that one of the benefits, even, like when people are, I don't like to be on camera, I don't like to be an influencer, I don't like this, I don't like that. But once you start building your personal brand, like, this helps attract, like, top talent, because none of the people who work for me came from, like, I don't know, like job sites or I don't know, like headhunters or anything like that. It's people who found out about me. I love what you do. I like the mission. I want to be part of it. And I think that as I grow and for me, like, this is something that I want to keep on building. Like, I see it as a generational company. I have no intention of doing anything else before it's like a multi-8-figure business. And even then, just like keep it. But as we grow this company, like, you'll hire better talent, more skilled talent. This is really like a hack, I feel. It's really something that people need to consider.
Yeah. I think one of the best pieces of advice that we got was that every new hire that you make in your business should be somebody that raises the level of the talent pool in your company, right? They should be the one that's going to raise the bar. And that's harder and harder to do. But the thing is, whenever you do that, that's how your business gets better, right? Rather than hiring people that might potentially drag you down, or that you may invest a bunch of time and money and resources into training up, and then they end up not working out, or they leave or something like that. I want to back up.
We've had a fair share of those.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think people don't realize that when you make a hire in your business, that you're not going to be able to hire people that just hit the ground running and build your business for you. It takes time and energy and effort to train them up to a point where they're able to hold their own weight, and then at some point make money for you, right? It's a huge investment in your resources to bring on a new person. I kind of want to back up a little bit, because one of the questions I've had in the back of my head is that with your ad strategy, where you're bringing people in from Facebook, and I would totally agree with you. Like, Facebook has the absolute best targeting, and it just keeps getting better. But with your ad strategy, you're bringing people into your website, and then once they hit your website, they're getting pixeled with tracking pixels from all these other social sites, right? So it's TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and all that. So you're able to retarget them once they hit your main website, right? Now, that initial ad that you're hitting them with on Facebook, what is the ad objective? Is it a conversions ad? Is it a traffic ad? What type of an ad is it?
Oh, it's conversion. So again, like, I've tested, Facebook lead forms for my industry. It doesn't work for some of my clients. It works amazing. So it really, I feel like, depends on the industry. So for me, it's conversions, and basically whoever gets to a thank you page is considered a conversion. And you're always working on refining that also with some, like, we're able to, are you guys familiar with high rolls?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I've tried high rolls. I feel like it wasn't for me. It was like way, like, it's overwhelming almost. And I feel like also like that this is like for multi 7-figure companies. Like, this might be.
Yeah, and it's not cheap either.
It's not cheap. But they're able to do a lot of cross testing and referencing of what was the first touch point of that specific client. But we're kind of able to do something similar without it. Just with, again, thanks to my ops guy, we're constantly sending back and refeeding the system, not just with the people who booked a call, but who are the people who actually joined. So you want to make sure that, again, because it's very important with Facebook, the objective of what's the end goal. And so the end goal is for them to, to have on the go high level, joined LSM. So this is, at least for me. Yeah, this is conversion straight into a website. this is the objective.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that strategy. So with the retargeting pixels, are you putting those on the front end? So people, as soon as they hit the front page of your website without opting in, you're retargeting them? Or are you only retargeting the people who hit this thank you page?
Every interaction, from visiting the page to watching more than 3 seconds to, liking my ad or visiting if you interacted with any of my assets once, that's it. You're in the system. I don't care.
Nice. I love that's such an important part of things. I think a lot of people maybe have this idea that if somebody opts in once and then they don't buy, well, then it's a no forever. And I think what people don't realize is the power of retargeting and just being in front of people as much as possible. And so I love that strategy of, as soon as they hit anything that you're doing, whether it's an ad, they watch 3 seconds of a video, then they like or they comment on something, they hit the front page of your website. As soon as they do that, now you're retargeting them everywhere, and they're seeing you on TikTok, they're seeing you on YouTube, they're seeing you on Instagram. I think that type of marketing is so powerful because it's the more you can get in front of somebody who has a problem that needs to be solved, and the more that you're blocking out the competition, and the more likely it is that you're going to be able to get that conversion. Because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but retargeting somebody that's already opted in is so much cheaper than trying to get a new person into your system, right?
I feel like it's more than that, Todd. It's really about, again, if we talked about the trust factor, okay, where in our day and age, it's at an all-time low. People have been burned by so many, bad programs and coaches and whatever it is. This is your job of just building that confidence. This is the main purpose, is them, once they see you more than once, they start to feel like they know you. And yeah, the added benefit is, like you mentioned, is the fact that now they can see more ads. They can, you can target them cheaper. There's some other benefits, but by far, as far as I can see it, it's the trust factor that is being built without you actively doing anything other than setting things up correctly.
Yeah, and I think, thinking back to the other things that you've said about, qualifying people, following up with them, sending them the information for the call before they jump on the call. Like, all that is building that familiarity. It's building that trust. It's building that authority. And that's such an important part of the process when you're doing high ticket coaching or any sort of high ticket program, really, whether it's an agency or anything else. So I know that we're running out of time here, and there's so much left to be said. And I'm sure there's, so many things that you could say, but if people want to learn more about you and what you do and how you help people, where can they head?
So I feel like the best place would be YouTube, because this is just long form is the best. You get to really know who you're talking to and whether they're full of shit or not. But really, YouTube, I feel like it's the best platform to really understand more about what we do and who we help. And of course, Instagram, it's @VakninLior.com, so people can go and check it out. And if they're home service business owners or contractor who already been burnt by several marketing agencies in the past and feel like it's time that they learn how to generate their own leads themselves, they can go ahead and visit localservicemastery.com and book a call.
Well, Lior, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Todd, and best of luck to everyone.
You've been listening to the Digital Trailblazer podcast. For show notes and information about today's guest, head to digitaltrailblazer.com. Now, if you love this episode, if you got some value, make sure you leave us a review and subscribe. And be sure to share this episode with anyone you know who could use help to build their business. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.